We tend to become overly reliant on what the rest of the world is looking at. And how do we address that? We need to start looking at industry experts in our own context, in our own market, in South Africa, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Rwanda. There are very, very clever people doing some amazing things. But we don't give it credibility because it's not on a Gartner report or it's not on an analyst report.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Treasure. I am speaking to you live from the ITWeb GRC 2025 event in Bryanston. I'm joined today by Stiaan de Waal. He's the SA Country Manager at DataGroupIT, as well as Neil Cosser. He's the Regional Sales Director for Thales Cybersecurity Products. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me.
Thank you, Chris.
Meet you.
Thanks.
So we're speaking about everything GRC. We're speaking about compliance. We're speaking about governance. We're speaking about risk, protection, all the rest of it. It's all happening today. But your partnership has been in place to address a lot of these issues and a lot of the growing issues that we're experiencing today. Can you just give me an overview of the partnership and what value it adds to more?
Absolutely. So our partnership actually started on the back of an Imperva contract 13 years ago, where we looked at AppSec, MedSec, that kind of environments throughout Africa, 16 countries where we are represented. And of recent, the Thales acquisition of Imperva has just, rounded that offering that we take to the market.
Sure. So thanks, Stiaan. And when Thales acquired Imperva, with that we acquired a very skilled partner in the market across those 16, or actually more than 16 countries. The technology has expanded to go beyond the AppSec, NetSec to a phrase that we've adopted and embraced of protecting your data and all paths to it. And this is the idea behind the governance and that data protection and all of the security that's required. Data is that oil that lubricates all of business, and you need to protect that data and every way of getting to that data by every person. So
Right.
With the partnership in place, we've got the right people in the right place at the right time to address the market. And it's a very, very large addressable market at the moment.
And it's expanding, right? I mean, there's no shortage of activity in that space, and there's no shortage of business that's going on, and the requirements, the need from an Africa point of view. Let's talk about the technology, though. Maybe we can start there, because one of the themes that we're hearing from this event today is that there's almost a sort of reactionary positioning when it comes to technology addressing GRC issues. One of them being cybersecurity, data protection, all the rest of it. There's almost an inclination to want to throw technology at the problem, as is a traditional issue in the ICT, as you all know, and telecoms. It's that desire to grab technology, throw a solution in, put it in place, and it's going to take care of things. That's not the case.
Not at all. So if you take the broader risk management within businesses, it's not limited to IT and cybersecurity. Enterprise operational risk, it's audit, third-party suppliers, very relevant nowadays.
Yeah.
It is business resilience, okay, as examples. And there's not necessarily technology out there that you can throw at that, okay?
Yeah.
If your business processes are not mature, you first need to fix that. These we call GRC a journey. It's not a project.
Right.
Can't just throw money at it and it's going to disappear. Yeah. So we see a lot of that. Obviously, you can start within IT and cybersecurity, protect your company data, your reputation, and that's where Thales adds the big value to that section of governance, risk, and compliance. But it's much broader than that, to be honest.
To add to what Stiaan is saying, GRC is across the entire business, and in order to enforce your GRC, in order to measure your GRC, you need two components of technology. And one of them is a GRC tool to be able to monitor and manage what is actually happening in your business. And I think that the market does not have a lot of technology in that space today. That is an emerging requirement. What the market does have is a lot of technology that is in place to enforce the GRC regulations, the compliance regulations, and to mitigate risk. That technology is not pointed in the right direction and is not managed in a way that it is mitigating the risks that are being highlighted by your GRC reports. So instead of buying new technology, it's about repurposing your technology or purposing your technology in such a way that you're getting the value out of it. And where you do have gaps, identifying that and maybe buying technology to address those missing gaps.
So, I mean, there is an element of awareness and education for the market in terms of how they're repurposing their technology. If it's a case of having to repurpose the technology first, not just simply buy on top of it. But visibility is a key thing. And we keep hearing about the need to have this enterprise-wide visibility. You can't regulate and govern what you're not sure you have, right? I mean, it's an ongoing theme as well. But what about the issue of AI and things like that, emerging technology that keeps on knocking at the door of these organizations? That is what's putting these guys under pressure, is it?
Well,
or not?
To a degree, but it's also helping.
Right.
So we represent another technology that is for integrated risk management that uses compliance AI to map your business processes against regulatory changes and telling and showing you what you need to address within your business, within the broader business.
Right.
Just this week, ISO 42001 AI. Okay? So there's AI standards and regulations coming down the line. EU releasing regulations around AI. Okay?
Yeah.
So now AI is going to be regulated. That's another regulation you need to comply with.
Yeah.
That's another standard you need to comply with. How do you comply with that? Okay? How do you regulate the use of AI within your businesses? So initially, everybody just ran like a wildfire using AI. But you've now taken your business data, put it in a public AI engine. All your data is gone. It's not public. Okay?
Right.
So these are the challenges that companies face now with AI, is get ahead of it quickly, stop the public use of AI, have your own AI models and engines locally, and your data doesn't sit in the bigger world, accessible to anyone.
Right. I mean, that's a huge factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
From a totally different perspective, if you consider in the US, you can still pay by check. You still have a magstripe bank card because there is so much legacy infrastructure in place. In Africa, we don't always have the burden of a lot of legacy infrastructure. The mistake we make is we still follow international best practices, international guidelines, international case studies and use cases, and we force ourselves to follow the mistakes that countries or environments that have got a lot of legacy infrastructure do have, instead of leapfrogging that. Instead of saying, we don't have all of this tech in place, we're moving stuff to the cloud, we don't need to worry about that risk because we can bypass it totally. We don't have that issue in our world. We tend to become overly reliant on what the rest of the world is looking at. And how do we address that? We need to start looking at industry experts in our own context, in our own market, in South Africa, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Rwanda. There are very, very clever people doing some amazing things. But we don't give it credibility because it's not on a Gartner report or it's not on an analyst report. So yes, there are things that we have to do and best practices that we do need to follow, but we also need to think out of the box a little bit. We need to be a little bit more creative and take a little bit more ownership for what we do in our own environments. Sovereignty being a prime example of that, where sovereignty and the way it's managed in Europe and the US, because of a huge amount of technology that they have in place, is easier, not easy, easier to do. In Africa, we're grappling with a lot of challenges around sovereignty that aren't being faced in Europe.
Yeah.
And to be compliant and mitigate the risk that non-sovereignty brings, we need to start looking at creative ways of solving that problem. And we need to look at our market, at our peers, at our compatriots, to say, how do we address this and what makes sense for us as a region to solve these problems?
So what would you say is the role of partnerships like yourselves in being able to drive that process of that mindset change, that different approach, that willingness to adapt and not simply follow a blueprint that's globally followed?
So that is where international vendors drive the international standard, but international vendors with a local presence working with local partners start adapting the way the technology is deployed and adopted to be able to localize that international brand or that international tech.
Right.
No, 100%. And I mean, we tend to be a little behind the rest of the world, okay, in Africa. South Africa a little, some other places in Africa a lot. But we can bring that thought leadership to the market soon and early enough to drive adoption into the market.
Yeah.
AI, that's already being regulated. Wait for quantum, post 2029.
So that's another point.
AI and there is this massive drive to AI. I can't. It is in the public domain, but I won't mention the organization it happened to. But they were using AI to improve their recruitment process. So they took all of the CVs of everybody that had ever applied in their organization, and they fed it into the AI tool, and then they mapped that to, of all of those CVs, who got employed, who did well in the company, who did not, who got fired, who got promoted, who is still with the organization, to identify trends that can be picked up in CVs. Fantastic, a brilliant use of AI to improve your business. They were compromised, the AI tool was hacked, and all of those CVs made public. So
good intention.
Good intention, poor implementation. And that wasn't in Africa, by the way, that was in the US. So there's things that we need to consider as best practices. And as industry leaders, as IT security across the African market, across South Africa, there are bright people here, there are clever people here. Overworked, overwhelmed, absolutely. But look at the fundamentals, get the fundamentals right.
Yeah.
And operate off Pareto principle, 80-20. Get 20% of your effort will solve 80% of your problems. And then address the rest with tools, with management, with exception management, whatever the case may be.
So against that backdrop, I mean, there's a lot more involved. There's a lot of other themes that we could discuss if we had the time. But your outlook from now until sort of well into next year, I mean, dare say there's going to be a heck of a lot of changes. Some we may have expected a little bit, but others probably not. What is your feeling going forward for the market locally from now until well into next year?
Well, we now see a very big drive for the implementation of governance, risk and compliance, integrated risk management for IT and cybersecurity, for your compliance and regulatory compliance and third parties. Okay? Massive drive in South Africa especially, and across industry sectors, everything, and it's going to continue. Okay, the drive to secure, protect data, information, to be compliant with our information regulator, who's soon going to be focused on private sector and applying fines. It's inevitable. I mean, that change is to come. So people are scurrying to get all of the puzzle pieces in the right place.
Right.
So very much to Stiaan's point, there is a lot that is out there, and I see consolidation happening. Vendor consolidation is happening all the time, but technology consolidation and being able to use technology intelligently. But unfortunately, you said well into next year, so in the next 15, 18 months.
Sure.
Quantum computing and the ability for a quantum computer to break encryption requires a certain strength of quantum capability. And 6 months ago, the prediction was around 2030, the first quantum computer will be able to break encryption. A few weeks ago, the first quantum computer was able to process data fast enough to already break encryption, 5 years ahead of schedule. The computer was only stable for 20 seconds, so now it's a case of not can we get there, we are there, how do we get the environment stable? So it is evolving so much more rapidly than anybody thinks. Yeah. So looking to the future, I think the risk can come that you get overwhelmed and analysis paralysis, you end up doing nothing.
Yeah.
My view is look at what you have, look at what you can see and what you can protect. Understand what you can't see and start finding ways of seeing it so you can protect it.
I think that sums it up very, very well. Thank you very much for your time, gent. It's been great to speak to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for watching, and keep watching this space.